Hello everybody, this is Stewart A. Swerdlow, and this is my news for expansions for the middle of November 2011. And a lot has gone on this first half of November all over the world. Of course, the big stories is now they're breaking up all the Occupy demonstrators in New York and Portland and other areas after they become violent. And they've actually cleared out the entire park in New York of all the protesters, and they did arrest a number of people who resisted. But this is far from being over, and I think now we're going to see more civil disobedience in other places, not peaceful but violent, and I think we're going to see that over the course of this coming winter. And certain sources have told me on the East Coast that we could expect martial law during the winter. I'm not so sure I agree with that specifically, because my impression is we're kind of already under that to some degree. But apparently some event or series of events are anticipated for this coming winter, probably after Christmas time, where martial law will be imposed in the U.S. I don't know if it will be national or just in specific locations where the events occur. So as I get more information on that, I will be reporting that to you. Also, what I just learned, if you remember, I had said that during the London Olympics of 2012, I do expect them to come out full-blown with the staged alien invasion. And what we just learned today was that the British have decided to surround the Olympics next July 2012 with ground-to-air missiles to protect the area. So that would mean they are expecting some kind of an aerial attack in London during the Olympics, right? Otherwise, why would you need ground-to-air missiles? So think about that between now and next July, and I'm sure we'll be getting more news about that as time goes on. The big thing that's happened, of course, this November is the sex scandals at Penn State University. There's been denials, there's been firings, people are coming forward. There's 8 cases pending against this coach, and now supposedly 10 more people are coming up, and I've heard numbers as high as 80 people possibly coming forward. Something's wrong with this story. There's something not being told. You cannot get away with that in a major university for 15 years without being discovered and prosecuted. It's not possible. This is not a secret predator who prowls around neighborhoods and hides in bushes. This is a man who is in public eye all of the time. He now claims that he may have touched children in horseplay and that he may have taken showers with them. He admits to that, but he denies any sexual activity. Well, if you're horseplaying with naked boys in the shower, that's sexual activity. How deep it went and if it was mutual or not, that goes to be seen. But of course, a 10-year-old child, whether it agrees or not, it's completely wrong and inappropriate. And this person, I think, might even commit suicide in the next couple of weeks or months. So we have to keep an eye on that. There's also been a sexual abuse story coming out of the Citadel in South Carolina, which is a military school, where supposedly there have been inappropriate behaviors. But you know what? All these places where there are congregations of male figures, whether it's sports or religion or military, you know, regardless of what people think or the opinion, there is going to be some kind of homosexual activity when so many males congregate together purposefully and for long periods of time. That's just the way human nature is, and that's what's going to happen. And of course, inappropriate or not, that's just a matter of opinion. But when a little child is involved, yes, that is inappropriate. And myself, coming from the Montauk Project, I can tell you that it is wrong under any circumstances. We also had explosions at an Iranian elite guard headquarters in Tehran. Up to, I've heard many different numbers. I've heard 17, 27, 30 some odd guards being killed in the explosion. Some sources have indicated that it was the Israeli secret intelligence service, the Mossad, that was responsible for those explosions. Of course, the Iranians say there was absolutely no possibility of outside influence in this event, but buildings don't blow up for no reason, and these guards were specifically targeted. So my source of information claims it's the Mossad working with Iranian counter-revolutionary groups who seek to take back Iran from the Islamic Republic. The Israelis are very much interested now in destroying all of Iran's nuclear facilities because, according to them, U.S. and British intelligence are incorrect that the Iranians are a couple of years away from actually completing what they need for nuclear weapons. According to the Israelis, they will have their nuclear weapon by 2012, just a couple of months away. Also, in Europe, we have seen the resignation of Silvio Berlusconi, the Italian Prime Minister, and now we have a new one possibly coming in. According to my sources in Europe, Angela Merkel, the alleged daughter of Hitler, is arranging all of this and is trying to bring the Mediterranean region into Germanic sphere of influence. She does already basically control the EU. Sarkozy, the president of France, is a part of this as well, and allegedly, from what I heard from other sources I have in Europe, he is on his way out as well, and they will replace him with a more pro-Northern European factions. Because, as I mentioned, come spring of 2012, the northern part of Europe, that's going to join its own European Union and leave the southern part to flounder on its own. My opinion is also that the U.S. has something to do with this, to break up the EU because it was becoming too powerful. Again, the battle between the Rothschilds and the Windsors. Britain, of course, being more towards the North American side, and they just do everything together. And I think it is a combination of Britain and the U.S. who is destroying what's happening on the mainland of Europe. So we'll keep an eye on that also for you and keep giving you updated reports from my sources. Now, as far as geology is concerned, there was earthquakes this week, again in southern Texas for the second or third time in a month, and believe it or not, on the border of South Dakota and Nebraska, which is part of that old ancient tectonic fault line which I had told you about many months ago, which is starting to move. So we're going to see a lot of quakes in this U-shaped area here in the near future. And I just read an article not long ago that suggested that the American Midwest was going to have a super mega quake at any time that would destroy even Chicago. So we'll hopefully think that will not happen and do what we can to minimize that. But I do think there will be a huge earthquake, most likely in the Missouri-Tennessee region in the next year or so. And so that will affect the northern Midwest and Great Lakes as well, hopefully not too much. El Hierro volcano in the Canary Islands, right here. According to my sources again, that's going to blow. All of the vents are kind of massing together. They've evacuated a lot of the portions of the islands in that region. Gas has been coming out of the ocean. There are supposedly thousands of dead fish all over the coastline there. It's become dangerous to even breathe all that gas in. And if you look from the top down into the water, you can see that there is an island forming underneath the ocean and starting to rise up to the surface. So in effect, that whole region, which is the former, again, very extreme part of Atlantis, rising up as this whole ancient continental plate is now lifting back up. And that will bring consequences to the remaining continental areas. So we have to keep our eye on that too. One other thing I want to mention to you, which is quite interesting, and that is up here in the Seward Peninsula of western Alaska, researchers have found a copper belt buckle and a copper needle. And they are over 1,000 years old. They were discovered during an excavation of an Eskimo home that was near a beachline area on the Seward Peninsula. They were excavating this region and they found these copper artifacts. Now, as far as I know, you don't see Eskimos walking around wearing copper belts and sewing with copper needles. Of course, they have no way of explaining how did these artifacts get there and how come they're 1,000 years old when it is known the Eskimos do not have technology, and they never really did. You know, they were hunters and gatherers, barely survived in those very extreme conditions. We do know that the Vikings used copper, and we also know that the ancient Egyptians and Atlanteans used copper. So I'm going to see how historians and researchers explain this one away. They already have stated that it's known fact that Eskimos pound copper into tools. Well, they maybe use it for spears, but that's about it. They don't wear belt buckles, especially copper ones, and these were intricately made. So, a lot history coming up, being revealed. We will bring this to you as we get the information. Again, a reminder for those of you in Africa, I will be in Cape Town and in Namibia from December 11th to approximately the 20th. Those of you who wish to see me or have consultations, please contact events@expansions.com. Look for changes on our website, which are coming up almost every week. A lot of new changes and new products and services for you to choose from. And in 2012, we have an amazing year coming up for you. We will be talking about that on our website in the days and weeks to come. So, until next time, this is Stewart A. Swerdlow for expansions.com.